What about this? Believe it or not, it's a do-it-yourself railway. Since 1951, the Tallyclyn narrow gauge railway at Tywyn in Wales has been run as a spare time hobby by a group of railway enthusiasts from all over Britain who formed a preservation society. Here are two of them, a post office engineer and a grocer. One of their holiday jobs is replacing worn-out sleepers. The railway has two full-time drivers, the Jones brothers, whose family has given over 60 years' service to this line, built originally to serve the local slate quarries. Herbert Jones brings a locomotive into a siding while a chemist from Birmingham draws the fire. Maureen's a London secretary. She's the sort of girl who watches points. They've even dug their own slate quarry to provide ballast for the track. In between passenger trains, there are 24 a week at the peak of the season. The ballast train runs up to the quarry, and then it's all hands to the shovel till every truck's filled. There's a lot of skilled work to be done behind the scenes. This chap's a civil engineer. The Midlander is the only diesel loco on the line. The servicing of its engine is in the hands of an accountant from Chichester. There's a science student from Derby drilling a cylinder block. He doesn't want to paint the town red. He'd rather paint a bogey frame. Talking of painting, there she is again, the only girl in the outfit. I bet she gets all the jobs the others don't want. Of course, she couldn't do this job. They're putting a coach on its wheels. It wouldn't get far without them. There's only one train on Sunday, and it's nearly time for it to leave on its 6.5-mile trip into the mountains. It'll call at 5 stations and take 45 minutes to do it. But with such picturesque vistas around, nobody's thinking of the jet age up here. Most days the train is packed with society members and holiday makers. 3 o'clock, time to go. That's another way in which this railway is unusual. The train actually runs to time. Pop down the road to the horse cars. They get changed every day as regular as the sea lions are fed in the zoo. Only here, there's no gate money. If you hit on the right day for strolling down the Mall, you'll meet the royal procession coming back from Trooping the Colour. Now there's a sight for sore eyes. But you'll really have sore eyes if you spend too long looking for the next sight, the fly past that goes with it. Motor racing's an expensive sport, but for free, you can watch the finest speedways in the country. For thrills at top speed, try getting on a bridge across one of the motorways. Watching people watching is another sport. You might think this was a standstill motor race or a new kind of sit-down protest. In fact, they're watching the gliders. So much safer than actually going up there, they think. While the flyer thinks how lucky he is to be safe, far from the traffic, not to mention the petrol fumes. Shopping can cost a lot, but you can pick up many a bargain in your mind when the shops are closed. What could be nicer in fine weather than to take a look at the weather? Stand outside the weather shop just below the Air Ministry roof and make your plans for tomorrow. Anybody making a hole in the ground is a surefire draw wherever you are. The bigger the hole, the better the looking. In the old days, they used to put up dirty grate fences and you had to peek through the cracks.
There I was, digging his hole in the ground, so big and sort of round it was, and there was I, digging it deep. It was flat at the bottom and the sides were steep. When along comes this bloke in a bowler, which he lifted and scratched his head. Whoa, he looked down the hole, pulled him empty soul, and he said, that's that.
Now here's Mr. H.M. Hughes of Harlow, Essex. His projects are relatively small scale. This magnificent model of a ship used only 13,500 matches. As well as the matches, there's been 3 years' hard work put into that model. People are no longer content to watch others doing the constructional and repair work around their homes. They are doing it themselves. 250,000 enthusiasts come to this exhibition in London each year to see the latest developments. They look at them with professional eyes. Once bitten by the do-it-yourself bug, their quest for knowledge becomes endless. Today, do-it-yourself has spread beyond the home, and some people have made it quite a business. It looks very much like any other, but instead of paying a mechanic to overhaul your car, you do it yourself and pay 7 and 6pence an hour for the use of tools and equipment valued at over £1,000. There's an engineer with 25 years' experience to give you advice if you need it. This was the idea of Frank Sawyer, a local haulage contractor. He finds that motorists take a far greater interest in their vehicles this way. They bring them in for regular maintenance instead of waiting for them to break down by the roadside. And it's not only old cars that come in. Does the idea really work in practice? This is the acid test. The idea is so successful that more and more garage proprietors are providing this service up and down the country. With do-it-yourself, the sky's the limit. You can even have your own miniature Jodrell bank. Frank Hyde, a Clacton radio and television dealer, built this one himself at Beacon Hill on the Essex coast. Though it's his hobby, the work he's doing is wholly scientific. The observation of Jupiter, the largest of all the planets, with a diameter 11 times that of the Earth. He's converted this Martello tower, originally built to keep out Napoleon, into a control tower to translate the radio waves sent out by heavenly bodies from outside the Earth's atmosphere into sound waves. It's the first amateur radio astronomy observatory in the world. The work Frank Hyde's doing is considered so important that the Americans have helped to pay for some of the equipment. This section of equipment is a duplication of what they have in Florida. This was loaned by a British electronics firm. And this was bought by Frank Hyde himself. Jupiter, which is around 400 million miles from the Earth, sends out radiation which has not been found to occur on any other planet. The experiments are to observe why. They require observations over long periods for more than 12 hours at a time. And these are the sort of sounds you hear from Jupiter. The signals come at regular intervals and almost suggest a form of intelligence. But Jupiter is surrounded by poisonous gases. With this station and the one in America working together and overlapping, information is being gained that'll be useful for future space rocket probes. Here in a country studio in Kent is Daphne Oram, a pioneer of a new type of music. Unlike the traditional composer, she uses no musical instruments and no musicians. She produces sounds by electronic devices, some of them sounds unlike any ever heard before. She needs no concert hall or opera house to put on a performance. She can do it on a tape recorder. The sounds, produced electronically, are recorded on tape. By mixing the sounds on various tapes together and playing them at varying speeds, she can produce all sorts of different combinations. Already, electronic music is being used in films, television and the theatre, and there have been concert performances too. There are some people who think the music of the future will sound like this. There's music everywhere. Office workers coming off the train with that Monday morning feeling are greeted like this. It's piped music, of course, relayed through loudspeakers. Perhaps it gets them in the mood to face that last lap to work on the bus. There is no music in London buses, yet. But once in the office, back it comes. In the typing pool, background music, they say, stops the girls from getting bored with routine. It helps them concentrate. Well, there may be exceptions. Piped music is big business in Britain today. This one company alone has £1 million worth of contracts to supply music 24 hours a day. On 8-hour tapes, which automatically change over when completed, more than 1,000 shops, hotels, pubs, restaurants and factories receive a carefully worked out music plan costing from £13 to £300 a month. It all began back in the 30s when two industrial psychologists measured the effect of music on productivity and found it certainly helped output. Music While You Work was born. But the tempo must be just right. This sort of music would not help to send up the rate of production at all. All right for thinking of the boyfriend, of course, but calculated to take years off the foreman's life. This would be just as bad. With music of this tempo, you might get a remarkable rise in output, but think of all the holidays you'd need to recuperate after all that effort. No, the music must suit the occasion and the mood. Bright and cheerful for shopping and thinking out prices. Bright and cheerful to take your mind off the bill. Even at the hairdressers, there's music to go with the perm. If you're not musically minded, you can take refuge under the dryer. Europe is following America and Russia on the way to the stars. And here's the rocket designed to give her the first big punch into space. A British rocket with a famous name, Blue Streak. Not so long ago, the work of the dedicated teams of scientists and engineers who made her was top secret. Then she was a missile, a weapon. Today, she's a booster for a space vehicle with a peaceful mission. Many of Britain's best technicians have helped to make her. This is her fuel tank, 46 feet long. Those stainless steel walls are almost as thin as a razor blade, and they hold 60 tons of liquid oxygen and 26 tons of kerosene. After the tank has been made, it's filled with gas to stop it from buckling. During flight, these engines develop more than 135 tons of thrust. equal to the power of 40,000 family cars. They've got to punch Blue Streak's full weight of 92 tons to a speed of 8,500 miles an hour. The countdown has begun. The control team is ready, in a blockhouse nearly a quarter of a mile from where Blue Streak stands. Temperatures, pressures, stresses, vibration, the flow of fuel, all are recorded as the hours, the minutes, the seconds leave the team with the moment of truth. Between Blue Streak and a real takeoff now are just 4 steel bolts. Blue Streak's days in Cumberland are numbered. One day she'll fly. One day she'll help put a 1-ton satellite in orbit, or a 100-pound European electronic reporter on the moon itself. Lilias Tucker is a schoolteacher in Great Hanwood, a village near Shrewsbury. Her husband, Lawrence, is a flight safety observer in a navigation school. They are both members of a society called the English Westerners, which makes a study of cowboys and Indians in the Old West. When the working day is over, the Tuckers go home and don the costumes and war paint and the characters of 2 members of the Sioux Red Indian tribe. Getting ready takes quite a time. Now for the finishing touches. On goes the chief's war bonnet, and Harshapa and Punakamita, that's Black Panther and Pony in the Smoke to you, sit down to smoke the pipe of peace. Cameras are recording part of a change in Britain. Today, our surroundings, our social life, our amusements are changing. And this game is a spectacular expression of that change. It's only 4 years since it was introduced publicly into Britain, yet already it's a national sport. It's one of the few in the world where equality between the sexes is absolute, unless you count dance and shove halfpenny. In 1 year, 10 million games have been played by men, women and children. In the mixed leagues, women champions are now emerging to challenge the men. Not superior strength or staying power, but personal skill is what sends all those 10 pins flying. Southend has a big new bowling centre right on its famous pier, with views all round of the sea and shoreline. Already, there are 70 major bowling centres in Britain, and within another 3 years, at the present rate of growth, there'll be more than 200. The bowling centres are searching out those places where people have to wait around. Several big terminals, such as London Airport, already have a bowl for the traveller between planes, the local housewives, and working girls coming off duty like these ground hostesses. Skyport fields one of the best teams in the country. It's a game well suited to keeping one in good shape. Another reason for the astonishing spread of this new sport is that it arrived in Britain fully grown and highly organized. Now everything is automated to pamper the customer. Electronic machinery counts the number of games played. It sweeps the fallen pins clear, resets those left standing, and returns the ball to your hand with the smoothness and care of a well-trained slave. It dries your palm if it's moist, and it even polishes the bowling lanes all on its own. In Britain, there are more than 100,000 ardent jazz fans who buy millions of jazz records every year and often travel hundreds of miles to listen to their favourite jazz group. At this 3-day outdoor festival at Cleethorpes, Lincolnshire, 12 top-line bands played to 16,000 people. This worldwide beat of jazz can be cool or hot, trad or modern, but essentially it's emotional. A music that has to be felt, almost to be lived, to be really enjoyed. Maybe the early influence of religious music on jazz accounts for this. Cleethorpes found their jazz festival so popular, with people coming from places as far apart as Cornwall and Inverness, that it's now a standing date on the resort's calendar, August bank holiday. The word jazz is believed to come from the American Negro word jazzbo, or shuffle dance. And at the 1,200 jazz clubs throughout Britain, fans either just listen to the music or dance to it. But most important, jazz is informal. It's an atmosphere created by music which affects people in different ways. Some people, of course, hate it, but it can't be ignored. Humphrey Lyttelton, a doyen of post-war British jazzmen, started playing the trumpet at Eton, where he was at school. Today, Eton has its own jazz group, while for many fans, Humph is the greatest. Groups of youngsters like these have teamed together with one ambition, to top the hit parade.
You may be dizzy, Miss Lizzie, the way you rock and roll.
The Cavern at Liverpool. This has been the springboard to fame for many groups.
Come on, Miss Lizzie, and learn it before I go too old.
In Liverpool, there are now more than 300 groups. Not many of them will realize all their ambitions. But here's one group that has broken through the show business barrier, soaring into the hit parade, the Swinging Blue Jeans.
For goodness sake, I got the hippie shakes. Yeah, I got the shakes. I got the hippie shakes.
It's not only Liverpool. In London and all over the country, there are clubs and ballrooms where the youngsters can do what they like, dress as they like, dance as they like. Some estimates put the total number of beat groups at more than 25,000, all producing the sort of sound that has revolutionized the music industry. It's strange that in this modern form of dancing, it's usually the girls that like to dance, the boys to watch.
So saddle sheets, belt sweet, you got everything. I'm gonna lay down, baby.